To see or not to see? That is indeed the question. And with all due respect to William Shakespeare, this Sunday might unofficially be referred to as to see or not to see Sunday. On this Sunday, we are gathered together to celebrate the Eucharist and to celebrate the second scrutiny with our elect, Nikolai, Sean, Merkins, and Laura. And we are so glad that they are with us today. Today's scriptures speak of light, sight, and seeing. And we are told that we do not see as God sees. We see superficially. We see and judge by appearances. But God sees to our very core. God looks into the heart and finds the real person. God saw in David, the insignificant young shepherd, the potential for being the chief priest, the chief shepherd for his people. And the young shepherd will be God's king. And again, God has chosen the weak of the world to confound the strong. On the surface, the gospel seems to be about the ability to see. And when we hear this word see, we probably think of the process whereby light passes through a lens of our eye, is focused on special cells at the back of our eye that convert the light striking them to electrical impulses that are interpreted by our brain to be images. And we see. And what a wonderful gift from God. And John tells us that Jesus cured a man who could not see, who was blind from birth. And this was a physical cure for the man. But the cure is not a restoration, because the man was born blind from birth. So it is more of a new creation. And this is exactly what will happen to our elect in a few short weeks from now when they are baptized. They will become new creations. But there's more to this story than does meet the eye. And note the language here. It says a man blind from birth, not a blind man. The Pharisees and most of the society at the time saw only the infirmity. They identified the man by his infirmity. And we sometimes do this. We do. Sometimes we refer to the blind woman, or the AIDS patient, or the schizophrenic. But Jesus does not see an infirmity. Jesus sees the person. The cure comes from Jesus because it is his initiative. He was passing by and saw a man blind from birth. Jesus sees a need, and he responds to that need, the need of a hurting humanity. And not only does he cure the man, but he later seeks him out, draws him into a conversation that brings the man to faith. Jesus comes uncalled and unexpected to this man, heals him, and leads him to the light of faith. People who should have known better were blind to God's working in unexpected ways and for the least. The Pharisees were more concerned about breaking a law than taking care of the man. For each of us, this Lent, Jesus is passing by, and he sees our conditions and stops by to heal us. But do we see him in our lives? All of us are afflicted by spiritual blindness in one degree or another at times in our lives. And it is because of our humanness. And sometimes we don't even realize that we are blind. Today's gospel invites us, particularly as we celebrate the scrutiny with our elect, to look for those areas or things in our lives that blind us spiritually. Those things that would not allow us to see Jesus in our lives, to see Jesus in ourselves, and to see Jesus in others. And additionally, we might ask, what are those things that I am so focused on that literally functions as blinders and does not allow me to see around in the periphery, to see the plight of my brothers and sisters who are in need of my help? What do I need to do to remove these blinders? And even though we all temporarily suffer from spiritual blindness, and it is mostly temporary, we should not be too hard on ourselves. You see, because we are probably like last week's woman at the well, and today's man blind from birth, we come to see Jesus and who Jesus is slowly and in stages. Note that the man starts by naming Jesus, the man called Jesus. Then he calls him a prophet. And then he recognizes him as the one sent by God, and finally calls Jesus Lord. Today, this Eucharist is one more stop on our way to experience what the man did. Here, the light of faith helps us to see Jesus in the Eucharist and to hear him in his word. And Jesus tells us what he told the man. You have seen him, and the one speaking with you is he. We Catholic Christians, do not believe because we see. We see because we believe. So let us pray together with our elect. That is our belief and our prayer and our hope that we may always be people who truly are able to see.